Okay, back again on the Rich Van Tassel channel. Again, this is also my YouTube channel as well. So for all those who pay attention to my YouTube, the video will be up with this later. We're recording that right now. But we're going to get back to these final games for you for Sunday. The next we have the Green Bay Packers traveling out west to play the San Francisco 49ers. For Green Bay, another team riddled with injuries. Eddie Lacy, their running back, is probable. Devontae Adams, their wide receiver, is questionable. Morgan Burnett, their safety, is questionable. Randall Cobb, their wide receiver, is probable. Andrew Corliss, their tight end, is on injured reserve. He's done for the season. Dayton Jones, the defensive end, is questionable. And Jake Ryan, their linebacker, is questionable. For the 49ers, Vernon Davis, their tight end, questionable. Reggie Bush, their wide receiver, probable. And Torrey Smith, their wide receiver, questionable. Aaron Rodgers really took apart Kansas City's suspect secondary on Monday night, and San Francisco also has a suspect secondary. So we'll see where they move on from here. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is going to look to spread the ball out. He's going to look to get the ball downfield, and I think he's just going to stretch San Francisco's defense apart. And they're not going to have. I mean, they don't have enough, even if Green Bay only had one or two weapons. Devontae Adams is questionable, and Randall Cobb is probable. So if they don't go, that may give San Francisco a bit of a shot. But if they do go, just too much, and San Francisco's secondary has just been getting annihilated by teams. Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago, Arizona last week. Colin Kaepernick is really not playing very well this year at all. He's basically been a better runner than passer. Now Carlos Hyde is having a good season. He's got 54 carries for 262 yards. So he's running the ball very well. I'd expect San Francisco to start running more and really take the ball out of Colin Kaepernick's hands. Really, how long till we start asking when Colin Kaepernick's going to get benched? He's just not getting the job done right now, and his two weapons, Vernon Davis and Torrey Smith, might not even go in this game. So we'll see how it goes for San Francisco if Colin Kaepernick continues to struggle, and I expect this to be another game. Green Bay is hot, and they're playing very well. Green Bay, I think San Francisco is going to make adjustments. They're not going to get totally embarrassed as they have been getting, but San Francisco will not get as embarrassed as they have been getting, but they're going to get embarrassed nonetheless. Green Bay 34-17 full time. Okay, St. Louis against the Cardinals. Arizona is the home team. Arizona quietly 3-0. They're playing very well. We just mentioned they bludgeoned the 49ers last week. Larry Fitzgerald is coming back to form. Chris Johnson, their running back, is really solidifying that position. That's been a question mark for them for years. The injury report, St. Louis, the road team, Kenny Britt, their wide receiver, questionable. For the Cardinals, Kenny Britt's the only St. Louis Ram on the injury report for the Cardinals. Alex Okafor, their linebacker, probable. Andre Ellington, the running back, questionable. John Brown, their wide receiver, is questionable. St. Louis, they had that one win the first week against Seattle. Since then, they haven't won a game. They lost to the Redskins, who are a bad team. And, that makes you wonder where they're really at. Was that win against Seattle more or less a situation where they just caught them in the first week of the year? They lost to Pittsburgh last week as well. Pittsburgh, Ben Roethlisberger got hurt. It was 12-6, and it was a really ugly game. So I don't think the Rams are anywhere near as impressive as people may believe following that Seattle victory. And Arizona is playing very well. Janoris Jenkins, the cornerback for St. Louis, is going to have to play very well. He's going to have his hands full when you're playing a guy like Larry Fitzgerald and as well as Michael Floyd. Carson Palmer is really comfortable behind that offensive line. So Janoris Jenkins is a quality cornerback, but look for him to still continue to struggle. I like Arizona to move to 4-0 and really continue to roll this year. I like them to win 24-20. I think St. Louis, we know Jeff Fisher can coach the secondary. They're going to, stay competitive in that regard. But I expect Arizona to find a way to win this game. Minnesota traveling to Denver to play the Broncos. Minnesota, after what's looking more and more like a bad loss their first week of the year, against the 49ers, has won their last two. They were quite impressive last week against the San Diego Chargers. Denver has been sloppy, but is 3-0 nonetheless. Now, injury report: Minnesota, Jarius Wright, their wide receiver, questionable. Charles Johnson, their wide receiver, questionable. Xavier Rhodes, their top cornerback, is probable. And Andrew Sendejo, their starting safety, or their strong safety, is questionable. Denver lists no injuries. With this game, you have to look at how long is it going to be till Denver really gets rolling, and is Minnesota going to continue to play conservatively, which they have with Teddy Bridgewater. Now it's been working out, and Adrian Peterson is starting to really come about. He's got 59 carries for 291 yards this year, 2 touchdowns. He's a beast. You don't have any surprises with that. The first game against San Francisco was an aberration. So he's going to continue to play well, but I still think they need to throw the ball with Teddy Bridgewater more. Now, Denver, is this the game where their offense breaks out of it, or is this the offense we're going to see most of the year? They've struggled. They have not run the ball very well. And, their passing numbers, while Demaryius Thomas is having a very good year with 24 receptions and 268 yards, you have to, really wonder where the rest of the guys are and why they're not running the ball that well, especially with a Peyton Manning who can keep safeties off the line of scrimmage. This is really a difficult game to pick. I've liked Minnesota since the start of this year, and they're really starting to come into their own. I don't know how long Denver is going to keep playing their offense this poorly. I'm thinking I'm going to regret picking this the way I do. I think Denver's offense breaks out and gets the win in this game, and I think Teddy Bridgewater struggles on the road. I like Denver in this game, 27-20. And our last game, the Sunday night game. The Dallas Cowboys are traveling to New Orleans to play the Saints. A lot of questions with New Orleans this year. How is this team 0-3? For the Cowboys, they gave up a big lead last week to the Atlanta Falcons, who are playing well. Obviously, Tony Romo is not playing. For the other injuries, Dallas, Ronald Leary is probable. Their offensive guard, Jeremy Mincey, their defensive end, is questionable. Drew Brees questionable. Quarterback for the Saints, he didn't play last week. Jarius Byrd, the free safety, questionable. And Brandon Cooks, the wide receiver, questionable. I think Dallas is the better team, even without Tony Romo playing and Dez Bryant out. I don't know what's wrong with New Orleans this year. With all that being said, the same thing that I said yesterday on the YouTube channel with the game, I don't think New Orleans is an 0-4 team. Dallas, unfortunately, is playing against the law of averages in this game. So while Dallas is a better team, they're going to run the ball, and I expect their defense to really shapen up after last week where they were terrible in the second half. Unfortunately, this is just a game where New Orleans is not an 0-4 team. So I don't know how it's going to happen, and any other week of the year, I would expect Dallas to win this game handily. So again, just like last night, some way, somehow, New Orleans is going to find a way to win this game. And sorry, Cowboys, you're going to really be regretting yourselves for letting that game slip away last week, especially with a tough schedule coming up with all the injuries. So however it goes down, especially with New Orleans at the road for a score, again, it's a shot in the dark anyway. I'm liking 27-24. All right, so those are all the games. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, for those of you who watch my YouTube channel, we will come back Monday. We will break down the games that were played this Sunday as well. Or excuse me, we won't break down last night's game. We did that for you already. We will break down these Sunday games, and then as well we will give you the predictions for the Monday night game, as we usually do, which is the Detroit Lions and the Seattle Seahawks. So enjoy the games this weekend for all those in New Jersey, especially in the Monmouth County area where we're coming out of. Stay safe. It looks like this hurricane's going to miss us, but stay safe nonetheless, and we will see you Monday. So enjoy your weekend, and thanks so much.